Superboy number 19, written by Scott Lobdell, art by R.B. Silva and Diogenes Nevis. Last issue, we had Dr. Psycho delving into Superboy's mind. He met Lex Luthor in there, and Lex said, and I quote, "It's time for you to learn who you are." And then this issue just doesn't even. It just doesn't. This is the life and times of Harvest. I'm not kidding. So we open up with Harvest back when he was just a normal dude, apparently in the 30th century, where metahumans have gone crazy and they are sick of playing heroes, so they started enslaving humanity, and Harvest is a normal human who is just going around killing them. And he kills this one in the fields of war, whatever, and he's like, yep, nope, this was what I did. I didn't hate them. I didn't take any joy in what I did, but they had to be taken out. And he has a son named Ven, and apparently one night in the middle of the night, Ven was kidnapped by metahumans, and they found his body 2 days later. So clearly, he's not too happy with them. So then he hears rumors that the science police are looking into how to time travel, a la time bubbles. Has not been invented yet, but they're on the road. So he breaks into the science police building, kills a bunch of people in there, just innocent people, and he goes and he says, all right, I'm going to use your chronal energy that you've been working on for time travel, and I'm going to go back to the first generation of metas, and I'm going to kill all of them, so that way we never get to this point where my son is killed. And so he does that, but apparently, because it's so unstable, it takes him years to figure out how to get back to the point where he goes, and he's kind of quantum leaping his way there as well. I don't know. Regardless, he arrives back at a point where Superman and Lois Lane have a kid named John Kent, which, if you know current continuity, is weird because it lines up perfectly. But regardless, he's half Kryptonian, half human. He has even more abilities than Superman. And for a couple years, everything's cool. But then as soon as he hits his 4th birthday, give or take, he falls deathly ill. And everyone's like, it's because he's half Kryptonian, half human. His cells are rejecting each other. And they go to everyone they can think of. They even go to Lex Luthor. There's nothing. There's nothing that anyone can do. So on the day their son died, Superman and Lois went into the Fortress of Solitude and were never seen again. However, Harvest, being from the future, realizes that he's just in the equivalent of a Kryptonian healing coma, and if he's given proper attention and whatnot, he'll actually make it out perfectly fine. So Harvest picks him up and he's like, I should kill you because you're a meta, but I'm going to use you as my weapon against the other metas. So he incubates him, makes sure he's okay, and then raises him as his own son, and has him go around fighting Steel and other superheroes in meta of the time. And it's all going pretty well until one day, a couple years later, the exact same thing happens again of his body rejecting him. However, this time it's not a Kryptonian healing coma thing. It's just his body is actually breaking down. And Harvest is like, okay, the only way I can make this work is if I get even more genetic material from Superman from the past, because Superman disappeared in this timeline. So I'm being torn apart every time I go back into the past, but I gotta do it because I've grown to actually love my new adoptive son. So I need to go get him. So they went back in time 5 years ago again to end up at the beginning of Superman's time. And he's like, all right, I'm going to make a Kryptonian human hybrid, and that I'll be able to grow him for parts, basically. That's Superboy. That's where that comes from. And then he says the whole thing of oh, I need to stop the metas here and now, or nowhere at all. Get it? Nowhere. And then he's like, oh, and I need to harvest these metas' abilities, and there will be a culling. And he's basically just saying, here's why I made all the things I made. And what it basically comes down to is he's still on his meta warpath, and he's trying to make that thing happen while at the same time getting genetic material in order to save his adoptive son in an alternate timeline, I guess now, which I don't even get. So either way, he's like, okay, cool. They're all working on Superboy. I reach out to the Teen Titans, specifically Tim Drake, says, hey, we're all on the same side fighting for humanity. Can't we work together? And then he sees Superman kissing Wonder Woman, and he's like, oh, wait, that's not supposed to happen. I guess that I can actually alter time. Like, time is still malleable at this point. I can make it so things don't have to happen the same way. So once he has his Ravagers, he's like, cool, I can take out all the metas right now. I don't even have to worry about my adoptive son even existing. So that's neat. And he orders Superboy to be destroyed, but of course Superboy fights back. We see the events of Teen Titans and Superboy and all that happen, and he's like, okay, so my plans here are still to do that other stuff. I don't know what's going to happen now at this point, but I've been monitoring Superboy this whole time. And then they say that the cliffhanger at the end of the last issue, he's like, I don't even know who Dr. Psycho is, but Lex Luthor is just a subliminal thought that Luthor put into Superboy's head when they first met. Okay, sure, whatever. And then we get back into the fight, and Superboy's like, oh man, it took me like 2 months to take care of Plasmus over the course of 2 issues. That's ridiculous. And then Harvest chimes back in, and he's like, yeah, when Hell tore apart Superboy's genome, it was finally, it allowed for the process that I'm finally able to save my son, who I guess I brought with me into this new timeline. And we see him with his son in this new timeline, John Kent, and he's like, I'm just a father trying to save my son. That's Harvest's backstory. Okay, question 1, why? Why was this? We had the entire thing set up of let's get Superboy's backstory, and admittedly we did. Admittedly, this is Superboy's backstory, but all of a sudden we just hard pivot onto, well, let's actually figure out who Harvest is. That's the more important story here, and like, I don't care. I am happy that we are getting some level of backstory with him in the sense that I don't think we ever figured out what his deal was. But the fact that he's from the future, we established that. That was over several different stories. And he's trying to save the world for his son, and he's very anti-meta, but he uses metas to kill the other metas. It's just, it feels like there was an entire jigsaw puzzle made around Harvest. And when Scott Lobdell finally decided, oh yeah, let me tell you his backstory, he realized that the pieces don't quite line up with each other anymore. And so he just kind of mashed this piece in there until the image kind of looked right. Like, he had a concept for what he wanted to do, but somewhere along the way it got lost, and now it just doesn't make any goddamn sense. So yeah, this is Harvest's backstory. Art's okay. It's perfectly serviceable, but like, I'm more so focused on the fact of this was just so out of nowhere, completely unnecessary. I don't get it. And the fact that there's just an alternate timeline John Kent is currently in a coma somewhere. That's blowing my goddamn mind right now. So I got to give this one I don't know. How do you even, like, it's so weird. I'll give it a 6 flat because for the story they wanted to tell of Harvest, it's not bad. It's not a bad origin story. It's not great, but it's there. It's just so weird that it's here, you know? It's so weird that it's in Superboy 19 because, sure, why not? Harvest isn't going to be getting his own series, so yeah, I don't even know what more to say. It's just a whatever issue.